Hello, Free Enterprise fans, and welcome to another match in our Zemus Zone 5 Blue Moon Waning. This is an elimination match between Noobtree87 and bigdunka. And I'm joined here today by Flossie Fern. Flossie, how you doing?
Doing really well. I'm super excited about this one. Both these runners are really good. I've been following them.
Yeah, Noobtree, a bit newer to the community. I believe this is his first tournament, and already got in a couple of nice wins under his belt. Of course, we are in the waning bracket, which means this is our terminology for a lower bracket in a double elimination bracket. So, bigdunka and Noobtree have both suffered one loss, but that does not mean they're both here to fight, stay in their tournament. And yeah, Noobtree being newer, so I think being pretty impressive. And then bigdunka, I mean, we know bigdunka. He's been around quite a long time. The grandmaster of our ladder. Shout out to our Free Enterprise ladder. If you like one-on-one matches, he is the father of that. And yeah, I think it's going to be a fun match.
Yeah, I think so too. What do you think of this boss collection here? Right?
I see a lot of really annoying fights.
Yes. Yes.
Like every single one of these just makes me go, really? I have to fight that?
They're all
that?
they're all kind of a different flavor of annoying too. So it should be pretty interesting to watch.
Even Luge at the wrong spot is just either very dangerous. Luge becomes dangerous when you're not anchored well and shows up at a very fast spot, like in the Fey March. Because its script could just start cycling so quickly that you start dying before you can recover. But otherwise, it's just like a big like time sink, and then everything else, like Valvalis, even Plague, paled him at the wrong spot. Of course, Dark Knight Cecil, like all of these bosses are either very difficult or just very annoying to deal with. So it'll be interesting to see where they show up.
Right, totally. And we do have a telestart here, so we'll see if that early darkness crystal shows up, which could be another little annoying factor here.
Very much could be. Early Tele, could mean, of course, that D-Machine grind, and then how our runners want to plan around that maybe or maybe not showing up by setting up slingshots, which means that they have to keep party members from getting experience and set up a good party to have two party members that could get that, under 5-level slingshot from one big grind. Like that's something that'll be on their mind, but also maybe they'll just find like a Cecil and a Holy Stick and not have to worry about that. It's sort of a who knows at the moment,
It's
but
very
we're
true.
off.
It's like we have a Kane Tella matchup, and Golbez is giving them the hook.
Okay, so that's underground access immediately. Unlikely to go there immediately, though, it's kind of interesting. With a Tella and a Kane, I would be somewhat tempted to run over to Evelyn sooner than later, because you have exit on Tella to be able to check out some shops, and then if you want to do Castle Evelyn. Now there are of course other places to loot, and they're pretty powerful on Blue Moon with the Teal flags, but we'll see where these two runners want to start off.
Yeah, looks like we're going right to Mysidia on bigdunka's side. Gonna check out those characters there.
Yeah, and the Noobtree running over to Watery Pass. Watery Pass is, I think, also maybe the obvious one to name here. With the Tele, you get to exit from here, so you get to loot really as much as you want. Hallam
Right.
and Edward.
Yeah.
Oh, and Porum. Okay, so that's Twin in the Seed.
Okay, yeah, that should be very, very interesting. Kind of the twin spell gets you through the overworld pretty quickly.
Yeah, Twin is very powerful, and it's actually kind of an awkward tension, because if you're a believer in early darkness and you want to keep any party members down, it's the mages, but the mages are kind of the damage at the moment.
Yeah, that's a very interesting point.
But we see Noobtree just looting the little hidden room in the front of the waterfall and then gonna exit. Let's see if bigdunka wants to loot more of this place or not. And then off to pick up more characters, I imagine. Yep, Noobtree heading over to Damsian.
Gonna loot that Damsian basement, which, sometimes is pretty decent.
It's really about density down here for me, like density of things that could be pretty okay. So it's like an okay shot at, so that was a rune ring. It's like an okay shot at one useful item out of like
Right, which I think is
9 boxes.
maybe what we're about to see here, that rune ring.
Yep, that rune ring. That was about it. Middle sword, I mean, if we find edge, is also honestly pretty decent. Edge on this flag set with the Neki flag starts with usually a charm claw. Not very good.
Yep. Limited utility charm claw.
And we see that Cecil. How do you feel about Cecil on these flags?
You know, I'm always happy to see him. It does mean that you are going to be thinking about looting a little more because you do want to, you know, anytime you have a Cecil in, well, basically any seed, you're going to be, you know, wondering if that crystal sword is out there for you to find. So
yep,
it definitely throws the balance into a slightly different direction.
And okay, we found Ogopogo in the waterfall. We are hunting that boss, but I think Noobtree says I'm not really set up to fight that right now. I'll come back.
It's a bit of a tricky spot. I mean, it's very, very fast there, and you know, a non-leveled party can get into some trouble in that spot.
Yeah, and it being very fast, and it's Ogopogo specifically, which is doing hit point based damage, and then also punching. Yeah, it's just deal with it later.
Yeah, forget it. We're checking Bedward over here on Noobtree's side, and I think I blinked and missed that one.
Edward says, "Here is the Sword of Legend. I don't want this thing. Take it."
Okay.
Forge is always kind of an interesting conundrum for me. It's like whenever I do it, it's not it's not anything useful, but whenever I don't do it, it's like the fiery hammer and I have a Sid.
Right.
And I'm like, really?
I know, it's always one of those things you want to check after you've beaten a seed and see how, you know, you feel about it.
I mean, depending on some parties, some setups, you know, if you haven't really found any good gear, even just the shop has tier 6 items in it, I believe. Maybe 6 and 7. Can be pretty good. Yeah, it's 6 and 7, I think.
Sure, yeah, depending on your routing, you know, if you're down there and you have it, you may want to take a peek.
Yep, and speaking of taking a peek, bigdunka is going to go do the hops check. Hobbs is a very special one this tournament. There's no character here because of the flags, but there is a boss here, hunting bosses, so you really don't want to forget about this one. We have seen a sparkle, and we're still looking for plague, so Duncan's going to check this. And finds plague.
Here we are, yes, we got a plague.
Okay, now this is clever. I think Dunka realizes that he doesn't have quite the damage, or is unsure if he has the damage or not, to get through this plague quickly, and so just opts to use that Star Veil. What'll happen now is that Plague will keep checking if Kane has the count effect, and he does not, so Plague will keep casting count till the cows come home.
Yeah, it's always a nice save option.
I had a race against Pus and Morpheus, one of the races that I lost, where there was a Plague in the outline spot, and you really only had Fusoya at the time, the way we routed it. We had Fusoya and like a Porum who wasn't very helpful, and yeah, if you ever need to solo a boss, you're unsure about the damage you're dealing, Star Veil will save your life.
Yeah, absolutely.
Plague.
I think I saw that one actually. And bigdunka's opting to check out the treasure chests on the back end of Hobbs here. These ones can be pretty decent sometimes.
Yeah, I honestly love this check when you have Tella. I mean, you could just exit right out of here, and found a Sork Robe for his trouble. It's a very, very, very good piece of armor for any of his mages. Pretty happy to find it.
And I think, yeah, Chet was just saying that looks like Noobtree found a curse ring in the City Armor shop there, which is great.
Yeah, super helpful. You know, Cursed Ring, of course, being that item that you slap on the middle character in your party for later in the game. You make them slow, which makes it sort of evens out. It just makes everyone else act basically at the same speed. This game is weird with agility. Maybe if it comes up, we can go into it more. But the cursed ring means that having a slow character in the center, you don't have to worry about it so much. It could be kind of anyone, so it's very nice to see.
Yeah, you always kind of breathe a sigh of relief when you see that pop into your inventory.
All right, so we found Ashura in Antlion, and it's probably this is surely one of the better places to find her, but this is still kind of a frustrating fight. You have to manage the fact that every time you deal damage to her, she's gonna punch back and then change face. Then yeah, she just cure for it herself. There are different strategies to kind of get through this fight more cleanly, but it's always just kind of tricky. Dunka says, you know what, I'm just gonna throw damage out until I just get through this.
Yeah, it's always damage overwhelming is probably the way to go here, but there's also the option of life locking her, which is basically hitting her right as or just before she casts life 1. She'll continue to do kind of a life 1 and then punch pattern in that way, and you can prevent her kind of curing herself.
Yep. And then when you're not really sure about the damage you're dealing out, or you don't want, you don't want to life lock, or really, might not remember exactly how to set it up, you can also do sort of the intended strategy of getting a wall onto Ashura, and then which Dunka has done with 2 Star Veils.
She's also quite weak to mute anything, so if you have any mute weapons, she does not like that.
Yep, if you want to see one of the sadder things in life, jump with a mute dagger, by the way. Though it would be very effective here, honestly, but... But yeah, Dunka without any of those things just sort of has to suffer for a moment, but we're going to get through this pretty quick.
And Noobtree is about to see the first boss on Ordeals.
Okay, this is some flavor of Baron Guards or Kaipo Soldiers. And it's the Guards.
Baron Guard's another boss that's quite weak to mute items.
Yeah, this one, honestly, okay, Grimoire, Rolling Sylph, not really what we wanted. Yeah, Noobtree looking through his inventory, realizing there is no mute bell, there's no coffin, there's no hourglass, says, okay, I will just hope for the best.
Yeah, this boss can be slightly tricky. They don't have the boss bit, so you can do things like obviously mute them or, turn them into, or size them, right? I believe. I don't think you can toad them.
Oh, or you could just recall Fatal.
Oh, there you go.
So tell us recall.
Yeah.
Has like a 5% chance to roll Fatal or Weak are the 2 things you would love to see.
I don't think I've ever seen that, honestly. I think that's the first time I've ever seen that happen.
I saw that once against the Dark Imps. I think it was couch racing. God, this was like when I first started watching Fair Enterprise. That's the last time I saw
Wow.
AoE Fatal in a race like that. That's so funny.
Glad we could all share that moment.
Wow, yeah, Tella really chose violence there. It's sort of frustrating because those spells he could recall are better than anything he could ever cast. Like once he's done Ordeals.
Looks like bigdunka's over at, is this Baron Inn?
This is Fabul Defense.
This is Fabul. Okay, gotcha.
Yeah, which brings up a good question. How do you feel about Fabul Defense in these flags? Are you a fan of fading it? Do you always like doing it?
I go back and forth. I mean, honestly, if I have early darkness or hook, I might be a little more tempted to fade it. Otherwise I'm going to want to see if either of those things are here, obviously. So, I'm not, nobody likes to triple dip Febul, but sometimes I think it kind of makes sense more often than not in this flag set, depending on what you're working with.
Yeah, I honestly like doing this more often than fading it. Maybe if I have a pan, I'll be tempted. specifically
Sure,
the pan.
yeah.
But because I know I can go underground and then come back up immediately, like just do the pan chain immediately after going underground. But yeah, it's boss information. It could be a darkness crystal, so yeah, I definitely like Dunka with the play to just come here and take care of it.
Sure.
Of course, the Magus sisters are being a little rude.
Maybe a little rude in this spot, I've found.
Yeah, they've got just enough health. They deal just enough damage, and when Twin Cast is our DPS, and you can't exactly rely on that because of the reflect, it's just a little annoying. And also, speaking of rude, is this Calbrena in the back attack spot.
Yeah, we got the unfortunate big doll going here.
Oh, okay, and that's Tower Key from Fabul Defense. So, if Noobtree fades Fabul, that will drastically change routing. Or it can. So we'll kind of see what happens here.
Yeah, it'll be interesting.
And yeah, those dolls, I mean, the way you want to get through that is to kill, all the dolls before... once one color of doll is left, they will transform. But getting them all to die nicely can be pretty tricky. I don't think we have the Toad spell to stop them. There's no Hourglass. So those back dolls don't have the boss bit, right? But if you don't have some way of exploiting that, then you just sort of have to pray, I guess.
Right.
And Ordeals has a coffin that we could have used against either of these bosses.
That's... It's very hurtful, Ordeals. We don't appreciate it.
You went through this ordeal, so now here's the solution. That's just so... It's so thematic, though. Mm-hmm. Anyway, here's Odin.
Easy spot for Odin.
I love seeing Odin early on these flags because you start with those Thor Rages, and honestly, they're a perfectly good weapon.
Yeah, quite often you end up, sort of carrying him through the seed, depending on what goes on. So it's nice to get rid of a couple of them.
Yeah, it's just he's so weak to lightning that in any of the overworld spots, like Antlion, Hobbs, Fabul Defense, right? Like, if you find Odin, you can just start shucking those Thor Rages. They'll deal like 300 to 400 damage a pop. The back attack spot has a little bit of magic defense, so it'll do maybe more like 200, but that's still... That spot only has, what, 3,000 or 4,000 health? It's still, like, it's helpful if, you don't have a whole ton of damage in your party.
Sure, every little bit counts in that situation.
But yeah, with Noobtree done with the mountain and bigdunka starting his climb, we'll see now where we want to go. What are you hoping for this hook route?
Oh god. Like, should I be mean or nice?
Well,
I hate to see demist at Ruby, so if mean me, is hoping evil things, I might wish for that. But hey, what about Water Hag King Queen Evelyn Ruby?
That would also that would be great. Sometimes it's great to just go down the hook route and you're all prepared for like what horrors await, and you're just like, oh, okay.
Yeah, it's like walking outside in a jacket, but it's 80. I'm like, oh.
That's a great analogy. Do that all the time here. I live in the Chicago area, and the weather here is just just sort of never know what you're stepping out into.
So it looks like Noob definitely went for the Fabul defense here. No fading Fabul.
Yeah, makes sense to me. And Comet, really good roll from Twin, only 25% chance, but takes care of those dolls.
Yeah, that was very, very good. Mm-hmm.
Noobtree now going to get the news that we have to deal with the Magus sisters. Does have this Cecil, but yeah, Cecil's base level, I don't think he has any gear to speak of. Whatever he swung with, he missed, so it's not a very good weapon.
I'm not sure that, there was really anything to equip on him.
He would have started, this is Neki, so he would have started with, I'm going to guess he started with a Drain Sword.
Yeah.
Considering he swung and missed, that's my guess.
Yeah, yeah.
It's always the rudest when when I do this mirror room on Ordeals, and I like anchoring with Dark Knight's Hustle because he's pretty fast, and he switches to Paladin, and then the Paladin ends up starting with the Drain Sword.
Oh yeah, that's
and
always
then you're not anchored well anymore. That's
always a delight.
Very annoying. Oh, he started with a crossbow. Okay,
Oh,
but that's also a bad weapon. The bows in this game, that crossbow has like 30% accuracy.
It's like a toy.
I think they were intended for like Rosa only, and she has the aim command.
Oh sure, that makes sense. Yeah.
But like they're bad.
At least he comes back rogue glitched in that case.
Just, yeah, that is
you
very
equip
nice.
it, he's going to stay doing back row damage even if he doesn't have a ranged weapon. So it's pretty convenient.
Yeah, chat talking about using the crossbow in vanilla. Yeah, no, it just, especially when you had Rosa and she could wear like a bow and arrow, they just, not a very functionally useful weapon.
I think we did just see a poison axe go on Cecil on Noobtree's side there, so that's a little better.
Yeah. Poison axe has very good attack power and it just has bad accuracy. I think it's 60%. So sort of evens out to be kind of a middling weapon, but for this point in the game, Poison Axe, perfectly functional.
And Noobtree discovering Plague.
Now I have one scene. My favorite bow is the Great Bow.
Yeah. Because
it's not great, but it's
okay
great.
Bow.
The okay bow, but I saw, I want to say it was Possum, a race like some years ago now, where it was like Great Bow, Poison Arrow, Porum with a heroin robe, just destroying the overworld because it's heroin robe.
Oh yeah, that that's always a funny situation to find yourself in. And then later on, you kind of forget you're so poorly equipped. Why am I not doing damage? Oh.
Right, and bigdunka actually choosing to do this freebie check dead last. Very bold choice. This could have had any number of items that could guide us in the overworld, but we know it's just the legend sword, so going to be rewarded for this routing. I end up not fading the freebie because of exactly the earth crystal, which loves to show up in my seeds.
It's a good feeling to get that earth crystal from Bedward there and just kind of zip on over, do all the looting.
Yeah, and if we find an earth crystal this seed, both of our runners would love it with this party. A lot of good gear we would love to find out of that treasury.
I do think we're going to be seeing some Evelyn Castle in our future here.
I do too. Yeah, for sure. Even if it weren't for the trap boxes, just the quality of loot in that castle is so high. But of course, it's the traps, and the traps could have really high chance of having a holy sword. So it's kind of like one of those things that's pretty tough to fade.
Sure, and at the very least, you're going to get a little bit of levels behind you for the hook route. So.
Yep, definitely. And one of the options I think is always interesting is that on Ordeals you can take a Siren after getting Paladin Cecil to give him a little slingshot, a boost of experience. But when you don't do that, you kind of hoping that like Darkness might show up and then Cecil could be a nice slingshot target. And actually, I'm forgetting that there's one more check down here, right at this Baron.
Right.
And that was a quick transition. So yeah, that's Water Hag. With the nice swing of 420 there. Good job.
There you go. Actually, it takes a little longer to dispatch than a lot of bosses in this spot here, because you do have to hit Water Hag 3 times for any amount of damage.
Yeah, this is one of the worst spots to find a Water Hag. I end up not minding it so much because there are a couple bosses that show up here, particularly Mom Bomb and Valvalis, who like you just sort of can't
Yeah,
deal with
Val here is
at the
just
spot.
yeah, like a real kick in the pants for sure.
Yeah, Val has a full 5 evasion multipliers at this spot. You just can't hit her at this level. Though I mean, you have Kane, it would have been fine. But and Mom Bombs Explode does like hundreds of damage at that spot. It's kind of obscene.
And we have
speaking
a very
of obscene,
slow evil wall fight here on Dunka's side.
Evil Wall is not a fun fight here. The spot is honestly pretty punchy and has more health than you would expect. It is a scripted fight. It's meant to be vanilla karate, and Cecil's supposed to punch him and he goes, ouch, and then the fight's over, but instead you get this. The grateful thing is that the spot is obscenely slow.
The only saving grace here. I don't think the
Even
walls
Tala-
moved once.
No, even Tala, who is not that fast, is fast enough. And this spot has variable agility. Actually, a lot of spots do. It's just the variableness doesn't end up mattering. But at this spot, the variable agility is something like, I'm just making up a number. It's like 2 to 5 or something like that. So when it rolls down like that and doesn't even move, it's, it's pretty nice.
Yeah. I'm interested to see. Oh, go ahead. Sorry.
Oh, I was going to say to let chat know. Yeah, both runners know that Ogopogo's in the waterfall. I think they're both kind of putting that off.
Yeah, I don't blame them.
Oh, and I missed what the key item was. Wait, was it? No. I think it wasn't a key item. So yeah, I think it's time to head on over to Evelyn.
I think, yeah, they got a dragon whip.
Oh, dragon whip. Yeah.
Yeah, so not useful for this party. Looks like we're seeing our first Evelyn dip here on Dunka's side.
And of course, the very first thing we get is a Murasame, edge not in the seed.
Yeah, all the fancy things you can't use.
That's what tends to happen to me when I loot this place. Stardust Rod, very nice pickup. No trap on the middle tower, that's fine. Got a few good weapons to put on the party here, and then exit out and keep going. We see Dunka setting up now. That's because the traps are coming up soon, so you do want a decently geared party here. Because he might not even walk out. He might just go to the left or right tower and start taking those traps.
It's definitely tempting to take that save between each tower, but also a little bit of a time loss there. So.
Yeah, I like exiting because I have Tela, and then good save, and then walk right back in. It's efficient from the middle tower. I think from the left and right, it's faster to just walk.
Interesting.
Avenger, the left tower. That's a good weapon.
That thing is gonna do some work for sure. And we hit the Staleman chest over here on Dunka's side, and this is kind of an annoying fight. I like having Edge in the party when I hit this one, because he can use Flame and kind of take care of those skulls, but...
Absolutely. Either Edge or even a Palom geared up to cast Fire 2. It's pretty good, or you could just roll Comet.
Comet, that'll work.
Comet's pretty good in exactly that spot.
Seen a lot of Comet this seed.
You're usually pretty annoyed to see Comet because it costs twice as much magic and does less damage than the little Meteo, but or the little flare, but
really made short work of that. Ooh, and I did not catch what that was.
Yeah, that went by so fast. I missed it.
Is it an elixir, maybe? I'm not sure.
Could be that strength ring.
I think the strength ring was in a different chest, and the wizard hat was as well. Yeah,
elixir. I think it was
It was the elixir. Okay.
Elixir sounds like Oh wow, Noobtree taking a package, like extremely early package check. That is spicy.
So how do you feel about the early package check? Because I feel like I kind of like it because you don't have to think about it anymore, but it's also really long.
That's a great way to think about it. It's just like if you're committed to white spear in the right tower, Kane is specifically pretty well set up. Anyways, yeah, the package. That's a really good point that like you do it and then it's just sort of out of the way. You don't have to think about it. It's not in your mind anymore. You just know that you've done it. Like, especially if you feel like you need to take some gambles. If you feel you might be the underdog in the race.
Sure.
Because I think conventional wisdom would say to not take this check early. Because you might run into your bosses all along the way. Just from playing the seed normally, quote unquote normally, before coming to this package. But if this package has a boss here, I mean, like, it could be huge.
Oh, and it feels amazing when you hit it. It really does. You feel like a genius.
It's incredible. Feel like everything is right with the world. Everything is as it's meant to be.
Yeah, exactly.
Get up, do a little dance.
It's a special feeling.
Yeah. And you get to see the pig because of the see no orange flag. Normally there'd be a character here, but instead it's a piggy.
And it's a Val.
I made a face. You can't see my face, unfortunately, but the face went, oh my god.
Yeah.
Okay, let me try that again with voice. Oh my god, that's Val. That is a hit. That is a hit at the package. That's huge.
Amazing. Value Val.
Value Val. Value. Val Value? Val Value. That's her new name, Val Value.
Dunka rewarded with a Artemis bow after getting the ogre chest done there.
Elixir into Artemis bow, not actually kind of a low roll for the traps, but we have found White Spear, and actually the Avenger is really the kind of breadwinner in this.
Seems to be
also, I was just gonna say, also getting Palm to Quake. This is the other functional thing about the traps, right?
Yeah, that Quake can sometimes make or break your hook route, so that's pretty important.
For sure. Yeah, and the Stardust Rod that was here, also really great for that. And okay, well, there it is. There's the Crystal Sword.
All right, well, yeah, slam that on your paladin immediately.
It is. It's burr mode.
Right.
It's time for burr mode.
And
Artemis arrows.
Yeah.
Wow. That Evelyn went from kind of pretty okay to just stacked very quickly.
Yep. It can happen like that too.
Yeah, absolutely. And then that lightsaber also, exists.
Yeah.
Lightsaber, a weapon I'm often really happy to see in Red Moon, but on a T Wildish flag set, yeah, give me that crystal sword.
It feels more like getting an ice saber in this flag set, but yeah, like with a Red Moon, I know.
It does, yeah.
You're just like, thank you.
Yeah, Red Moon, you're just like desperate for scraps, basically. But yeah, with that out of the way, I mean, we're... Noobtree says, let's go check the Evelyn shop first.
Yeah,
I think that's what's going to happen.
I have seen some runners do, and I do like it, because, there can be some pretty decent stuff in here, and it can kind of, like, help you through the trap chests, or,
Absolutely. I love it, too, because it could be hourglasses or coffins, and both of those very, very, very helpful to just speed up those traps.
And it'll be interesting to see how consequential that package check was, because looks like Dunka's heading into Evelyn as well.
Yeah, I don't think that package is going to come up for Dunka anytime soon, and could very well make or break this run. It really just depends on where bosses 7 and 8 are, right? Because let's say they both end up on the moon, like 7 and 8, then the package isn't so important anymore. But if, and this happens pretty often, if one of those bosses is locked behind like a Luca key that you don't have and you warp glitch in this flag set, it's like pretty tough.
Right, totally. It looks like we may have a vanilla ruby up top, or it could possibly be elements.
Either one of those is not going to be a fan of the crystal sword coming soon. Just kind of, it's interesting. Elements at that spot in particular, with a low damage party. It's the only time I've ever seen, so Valvalis is the last form of the elements fight, and she punches something like 6 times, like punching and the petrify thing. But she will eventually cast an area of effect weak. Really scared the crap out of me when I first saw it.
Right. Yeah. And yeah, if you have a low damage party, you could maybe be seeing that, which is definitely a scary thought.
Yeah, and the Ruby part of that fight with the Fire 3 and the glares, like the elements fight can be surprisingly a bit tricky with the wrong party. However,
we are the
this
right party.
We are the right party. The tricky fight potentially is going to be the King-Queen spot.
Right, we don't know what that is yet. About to find out, though.
And it's just Leviathan.
Shouldn't be a big deal.
So this spot, in the devs' infinite wisdom, they said, this spot doesn't punch, let's just give it like a max attack power, it doesn't matter. 30 years later,
yeah,
we show up and randomize this game, and then just decide to leave the punchiness at the spot, which is why it's so difficult. But Leviathan doesn't punch, so...
Kind of like finding secret treasures in the walls of your house 30 years after someone put it there. Yeah.
Yeah.
Never thought anyone would find that.
That reminds me of a post I saw a while ago of somebody finding in their walls old Magic cards, Magic the Gathering.
Oh, that's so fun.
Like they found just like packaging and cards from like, I don't know, like the early 2000s.
Oh, that's amazing. Yeah.
Pretty interesting. Especially for Magic, because some of those cards
some of them gotta be pretty valuable, right?
Pretty valuable, yeah, depending.
And we do have a vanilla ruby, so no elements or multi-target Val today.
Nope, just these Fire 2 counters that are basically going to tickle. Ice 2s are going to deal a crap ton of damage. A Crystal Sword that's going to deal a crap ton of damage. And, once in a while Ruby will target one person in particular to die with that glare. That'll be Kane. Pick him up and move on. Now, there is one and really only one way this fight can get out of hand. It's when you have a Berserker going, and you don't have the healing output, but I think we're doing just enough damage that it's not going to be a concern.
Yeah, the counters can kind of catch up with you in that circumstance for sure, but we are definitely looking good over there.
Noobtree getting through his traps. Probably pretty happy just having seen that Avenger, but about to be extraordinarily happy as this Black Cat Lamia box has the goods with the Crystal Sword, and then he'll be headed down his hook route as well. And while Noobtree looks behind at the moment, he's actually extraordinarily ahead because of that Valvalis package check.
Yeah, that's very, very true. Wake takes care of that very easily.
The rarely seen Rubicon script trigger.
Oh, I know. He's so polite.
Good luck. He's just giving you a little pep talk for the rest of your race. Like good luck with the rest of your race.
He's your tough love life coach.
Tough love life coach. Like he shows up, but you gotta beat him up
right.
to get the advice.
Exactly. It's helpful.
When I'm feeling down and out and I need to talk to my life coach, just get into battle real quick.
Yeah, totally. It sounds pretty therapeutic, honestly.
It does, honestly, yeah.
Is that a antlion at the tower spot? Yeah.
Gross.
Yeah, we'll punch you up there.
I think if I were these runners, I would drop the airship immediately. I've got the tower key in hand. Antlion's not a boss that we're hunting, but it could represent darkness. So we'll see if Duncan wants to do that. The other option would be to kind of do the other underground stuff first.
I do like doing the tower check immediately if I have the key, especially with Crystal Sword. You know, you can most likely get through whatever it throws at you, so... It looks like, yep, we are seeing that here on Dunka's side.
Yeah, and the frustrating thing about Antlion in particular is that it counters every attack with its it's got that little, forgetting what the attack's actually called, but it's got that little counter attack.
Counter.
Oh, it is just called counter,
Yeah.
Isn't it? Yeah. It counters with counter.
Yellow triangles at you.
Little Antlion needles, I guess. So that could just be annoying and time consuming, but yeah. No Antlion on the moon today. Noobtree showing us a little bit of loot in Cave Evelyn. It had a cursed ring. I want to say maybe a crystal ring, which is very good to find. Charm Rod, which we already found that Stardust Rod. Like, Cave Evelyn itself can honestly be pretty good on these flags, too. It's just Castle Evelyn sort of trumped it this seed.
Yeah, it's definitely good to have it as a backup. If your Evelyn Castle doesn't have that, you know, crystal sword in it, you can find it in Evelyn Cave as well. A little more rare, but...
Yeah, and apparently the Staleman chest had an Excalibur in it. The Staleman chest not weighted nearly as good to have tier 8 items, but certainly can find it.
Yeah, that's not terrible.
Nope, not at all. Octomam in the cannon room, that's one of my favorite bosses there because each of its tentacles is manning a cannon, which I just love.
Oh, you know.
Our tracker with the lore time, Octomam burning down Mist Village because she was controlling the Babel cannon.
Ooh, I like that.
Alright, so Noobtree is prepping to take on his hook route, and Dunka is gonna see what Antlion has in store for us.
I do have a weird darkness crystal feeling from this Antlion. We'll see.
Top of Tower loves to have the goods when you don't need to come up here. But
yeah, this check is something. It's hard for me not to want to just clear it all out, even if the bosses aren't required, because the goods are often here.
Yeah, it's very easy to fade this until you find a tower key, and then it just kind of turns out you needed to come here anyways. Especially tricky on the red and blue moon flags because you get to see the boss because you're always doing the hook route because we force you to do the hook route on these flags. So you always see this boss here, and when it's not a boss you're hunting, you're just kind of like, yeah.
Right. Tower, you got the tower key though. Just clean the tower out.
Yeah, when you get the tower key, yeah, for sure. You just do your chores. Get rid of the Antlion from the. Is this a chore from the Tough Love?
Right. Yeah.
Life coach Ruby. He sent us on this quest.
Yeah. It's good for you. Quake is
Chat pointing out the freakiness of the Antlion sprite. Antlion, and actually a few other sprites, if you pay attention to like Kinatsu, or Mylan Zed, or Antlion, they're freaky.
They really are. I sometimes re-notice that as well, because we look at them all the time, so you don't really see them. But like, yeah, Kinatsu is scary,
Yeah, very scary. A lot of teeth, claws.
Lots of teeth, yep. He's very buff, too.
Mylan Z also particularly just sort of nightmare fuel. Yeah.
Yeah. I remember him as a kid and being like kind of off-put by him. So.
Yeah. Luca key for Dunka, that's an awkward one. It's nice to have. We have the warp glitch on in this flag set, which means it's a bug from vanilla where the crystal room in the Luca Cave and Dwarf Castle are actually shared. Like they're the same room. The game just sort of sets a bit of which room it actually is, but it kind of doesn't do that when you warp from like after doing the Dwarf Castle check into the crystal room. So that Luca key for a key item is functionally useless, but it has a boss, and we're hunting bosses, so it's pretty okay to see.
Yeah, in this flag's hut, I kind of like to do it right before I go to the moon, if I remember. But you know, it with that warp glitch on, it does make it kind of an awkward check to do.
Oh, hey, look, a magma key. Anyways.
You know. Yeah.
Yeah, I agree with you there. I also like clearing out Luca before. It's like being thorough, you know. It's like one of those. It's a do your chores. Spend a minute, go down there.
Doesn't take that long.
Nope.
I do tend to run these very with kind of thoroughness in mind, but again, you know, you do some gambles and it can really pay off for you. So there's not a right or wrong way to run this.
Absolutely, absolutely, I agree. You know, you take a good gamble here or there. Power shirt out of the Feymarch freebie. Of all of the random pieces of gear, it's probably the best this party could find. Power shirt is very, very good. It has a pile of strength on it. Not a key item, but we don't care. Keep going.
Yeah, that's definitely one of the items you're not going to be that sad to find there, even though it's not a key item.
Now, the next question is going to be on this Feymarch. So, Duncan came here pretty early. There's kind of two ways you can do this underground, I feel. You can... Okay, that's two free. Yeah, that's the Kaipo soldiers and and the alt gauntlet.
That's the gauntlet. Yeah, so that's gonna be a must do.
Yes, this is the danger of doing this early, I would say, is... So there's two ways to handle the underground, I feel. It's you're coming to the Feymarch immediately, grabbing the freebie and hoping you don't have to deal with the bosses here, or you do like Dwarf Castle and kind of some other stuff first, maybe crack some eggs so that you have some power when you come down here. But I think with this party, the alt gauntlet should be very doable.
And I like what Dunk is doing, kind of taking this easy, officer and soldiers fight for some levels before hitting that alt gauntlet.
Yep. Get some levels, might get a decent piece of gear, or really just information. You know you're going to do this anyways because it's free. Yeah, definitely.
Not the scariest Feymarch I've ever seen.
Oh, and chat pointing out that it's a purple robe.
It
looks blue. Must have looked blue for both of us. Yeah.
That's so weird.
I know.
Why did we
if it's purple, it's Mylon and
Mylon
side. So
I still don't mind this officer fight though. Like it's super easy, and yeah, you're gonna get some levels for it.
Oh, okay.
That does look purple.
It is purple. How did we both see?
I have no idea. That's so weird. At least I'm not the only one.
I just had a shared. Yeah, I don't know.
It still looks blue to me.
Pan is a nice pickup though. Especially that early. You can run straight up, or we could do Dwarf first. You do want to do Dwarf on these flags. It's 2 bosses, 2 key items, but yeah, having the Pan feels pretty nice.
It's definitely a convenient get when you're underground, but you haven't, checked Yang yet.
Commentator colorblind list. No, I think it's both of us off the Discord feed that we're looking at. I think kind of futs the color a little bit, because when I looked to the actual stream itself, I was like, oh yeah, that's very purple. Whoops. All right, that's a sparkle at Dwarf 1. That could be Wyvern. And it is.
I like Wyvern better here than Dwarf 2, I'll tell you that.
Oh yeah, Wyvern at Dwarf 2 is just honestly the rudest thing.
It really is, especially if your first fight is really hard and you're just staggering through it, barely alive, and then Wyvern.
Yeah, and then you get to Dwarf 2 and Wyvern's like, oh, hi, Blarg, and then you just die and you're like, but...
It just feels unfair.
Yeah. And then life coach Rubicant says, well, life isn't fair.
Yeah.
Sorry, tough love life
Life
coach
doesn't owe you
Rubika.
anything, I know. We do have a required Luge at Dwarf 2 here, so another chatty boss.
This is a very good place to find him. The spot is gonna split like 2,700 hit points, 4-ish ways. Noobtree finding the Wyvern, gonna see, okay, he also gets a Star Veil off. So he's also gonna be fine. We see our runners trying to buffer. So you see them both running away. What they're trying to do is, when a message is up top, the easiest way to get a message up there is to do, hit LNR to do run away. ATB is not ticking. And ATB ticks in this game even at like these fast battle speeds. When these menus are like coming in and out, they're like animating in and out, there's still kind of ATB that's going. So if you have that can't run message while you go use an item and then you hold LNR to get the can't run away message, you're doing, we call it like a buffer out. It could be the difference between getting a Star Veil off or not. So we saw both of our runners do that.
And there's certain really quick spots that Wyvern can show up at, like Queen of the Feymarch Queen spot in particular, that can kind of make or break you knowing how to do that depending on your anchoring and your situation. So
yeah, definitely. If you are lightning fast at menuing, you can get into your and you're anchored kind of well like these two are. You can get into your item menu, use a Star Veil, and do nothing else, and get at least one Star Veil off. But you need to be like extraordinarily fast at that. It's just like I find for me like the timing is not perfectly consistent on how often I can do that. So the buffering out sort of just adds like a literally a buffer, to that time that you spend, to just kind of make it more guaranteed. So yeah, it's a pretty good trick to have.
yeah, worth learning for sure. We got the Sand Ruby from Luca and Gia out there.
Yep, just a sad Ruby. Normally has a character, but not in this flag set. But we had the boss there, so Dwarf was worth it. And a Twin Harp from that warp glitch into the Luca Darkness Crystal room. Twin Harp, how do you feel about that one?
It feels slightly awkward to me here in this spot, because, once you're down here, you're kind of starting to really think about, like, how am I getting to the moon, so that particular check does seem like kind of an aside, but you never know, so.
Yeah, we'll see. It really depends where that darkness shows up, right? It would be very good timing, I think, and honestly, there won't be much left to do. I think if
I mean, Sheila might have the darkness crystal at this point, and I might be tempted to do that check before the moon in that case. But again, it never feels like amazing.
Yeah, no, it's just so time consuming. Now, if Sheila doesn't have the darkness crystal, I think they're going to Twin Harp immediately after that, because you'll hope that Mylon or Mylon C does not have your darkness crystal.
Right.
But otherwise, if you want to be extremely thorough and hope that there's a boss there, or maybe an earth crystal, might be incentives to do the Twin Harp. Or maybe you're just a fan of chat and want us to have music.
That's totally valid.
We're also getting our shop checks in the underground. All these shops have chances at tier 5 item consumables. I know we saw Bacchus. Did we see sirens?
No sirens, I believe, but there were some hourglasses as well as Bacchus. Oh, and the silk web's always handy too.
Yeah, hourglass is handy. At least one silk web for the final boss, pretty handy.
I guess we didn't see Bacchus and Tamara. I'm not quite sure where I saw that.
Bacchus were in Dwarf, I think.
In Dwarf, okay.
Yeah. But yeah, so here's the Panchuck, Noobtree. I think choosing to do, yeah. So Noobtree taking the other route I was talking about, so doing Feymarch last, essentially. Also going to get his Pan. I'd be kind of curious if Noobtree is interested in taking that other Feymarch fight.
Right, yeah. The blue robe Mylon.
Blue robe Mylon or Mylon
The
seed.
special flag. Chat does bring up a good point about the harp check. If you have walked through those caves and you're at, like 1 HP, it can make that Dark Elf scripted fight really quick, so...
Yep. It makes it a really good time to do it after, kind of after Sheila. We did also apparently get a rat tail, so...
Oh, okay. Yeah, that's a must check.
That's another shot at darkness here. I actually like doing Fabul first here because you could get a pink tail.
Oh yeah,
you could just
that's
get a
very
vanilla
true.
adamant. That's funny. But a pink tail from if you get a pink tail from Sheila, then you sort of get a one stop here. Whereas now if Dunka gets a pink tail, I don't think he's going back, which I mean is fine. We've got such good gear. It's not a huge consideration, honestly.
Yeah, the pigtail, by itself is pretty much... I only check it if I feel like pretty behind on gear, generally.
Yeah, like if a crystal or like if no holy sword showed up anywhere in the seed and I've got a pink tail, I will check it.
Yeah, absolutely.
But
and
we
Noobtree...
do have forge.
Yeah, yeah, we'll see if anyone does that. Ooh, and Sheila gives the earth crystal. And
Earth
the Baron
crystal
key.
and Baron key?
Wow.
What is on the moon?
Just nothing. I mean, and remember, we do have Golbez at the Biden spot in Baron Castle, so...
Yeah, so that's... Huh.
Yeah.
Wow.
I mean, I've seen a few of these where, the moon's completely haunted and you don't even get up there, so...
I mean, there is a world where all our bosses are on Earth and all our key items are on Earth, and you get a pass. You never even have to raise the lunar whale. Doesn't happen very often, but this could be that seed.
Dunka's doing the harp check here.
Yeah, I mean, this does give the very nice, the clean like harp into a heal for Zot into Baron.
Yeah, the Zot check just drops you off right at Baron, so it's kind of beautiful routing.
Yeah, from routing, it's very convenient. I think if I were running this, I would do Twin Harp last because it's the least valuable check for the time spent. Because Zot represents 2 bosses and Dwarf represents... Sorry, a Baron represents 3 bosses. And Darkness could show up anywhere, so I'm still on team, like, Fade Twin Harp, but I definitely don't blame Dunka for going for the efficient routing, where this is the best chance you have to do that Twin Harp because everyone's at 1 hit point. And also, Dunka doesn't know where that Val is, so really needs a lot more, needs that extra boss.
That's very true, yeah.
But meanwhile, Tough Life Coach number 2, Dark Elf.
Yeah.
About to give us the business, and then I think some music's about to play.
You're about to hear some music, I think. And I think we got a Bahamut over at the Nylon Z.
chat calling out that that was Octopath Traveler. I'm not really sure which tune from that RPG, but good game. And, ooh, just a siren. So, 2 disappointing Bahamut's
Yeah.
in the span of like a minute
that's
here.
very true, yeah. I mean, you need sirens, but it never feels good to get it in the key item spot like that.
No, especially from Twin Harp, exactly. That's not going to feel good for Dunka. Might drive Dunka, honestly, to make a more gambly check, which could lead him towards the package, I'm going to hope. But yeah, I mean, it really just depends where these bosses are. Heading over to Zot now, I mean, the routing is going to handle itself for the moment. We're going to do Zot into Baron. Not going to do Raid that treasury, don't blame Dunka. You've got literally all the power you could ever want. Treasury not really going to help at this point.
It's always tempting to peek, but yeah, at this point it's probably not the move.
Yeah. It's one of those things you check afterwards, then you find like 3 crystal swords there, and you're like, yeah, I'm glad I faded this. Because I already have one.
Crystal Sword's not one of those things that gets better with more. You only need 1.
Yep. Unless you have multiple Cecils, but no dupes, so. And yeah, to let chat know, Ogopogo is at the waterfall. Dunka does know where Ogo is, just chose not to do it immediately at the time that he found it with his party. So we'll do that later. And then, yeah, that Valvalis is behind the package, which Noobtree did extraordinarily early, like before going down the hook route, and got a huge reward from it.
We have a free fight at Zot 1.
King Queen Evelyn is kind of hanging out.
This is an interesting check because you can do it without having the Earth Crystal. Sometimes there's a required boss here, so, you know, it's always a question that if you want to route that in or not. Obviously, in this case, not required, but...
Yeah, Martin Broadcloak loves to call out a play that I particularly don't like, which is doing Twin Harp and Zot 1 together. So it's sort of like the gamble package. It's the Twin Harp when it's sort of a one-off and you don't have any other like nice routing from it, and then it's the Zot 1 check. You're just doing the 2 bosses basically. I mean, between the 2 they can hit. Yeah.
Yeah, if you think of it as 1 check in a way, I don't know. I might be stretching here, but I can see
time consuming though. Right. But if one of them hits, it's like it's so good, right?
Yeah.
A little piggy meta time. That pineapple pig only shows up for Luge, and this void piggy.
This is CPU, right?
This is CPU. Yeah. It could also be Evil Wall, I want to say, but we've seen that, so it's CPU. Usually not terribly useful because it's like you're just about to do the boss, but it's like one of those things, if you know, you can sort of mentally prepare for a couple moments how you want to do the fight.
I still don't really have the yellow and white ear pig meta in my head at all, but yeah.
I don't fully either. I know I want to say the white ear means you could have sparkles in particular. It's really the only one I end up caring too much about. You know, when some sparkles are like Wyvern are out there still. And then that Void Piggy is like only one of 2 things.
Sure.
The Pineapple Pig is only Luge, and I think D-Mist has a special pig too. I want to say.
Frost Pig.
Is there a separate color pig for Golbez? Golbez is probably the white-eared. It's either white-eared or yellow-eared.
Speaking of Golbez, we're hitting that Golbez hanging out in Baron Castle.
We were just talking about how crystal swords in surplus.
Look at that.
Not helpful.
Oh my god, I know.
Okay, time to go back, buy those carrots out of, what, the Feymarch? And find a big chocobo. Hear me out.
We're keeping this.
It'll be a trophy for the end of the seed.
Exactly.
Or if it were omnidextrous, you could wear 2 of them.
Oh, that would be great.
It might actually be overkill, but it would still be fun.
And we have a dark elf hanging out on Barren Throne there. Not a required boss.
No, and Zod did not have anything valuable, actually. So if Noobtree, like, it's either... No, this just has to be darkness, right? Like, the Baron or the Odin Throne.
Yeah, it pretty much has to be here.
So Noobtree gonna get very rewarded, I think, because if we find darkness, I think he's gonna be incentivized to just run straight to the moon after that. If we don't happen to just find Dark Knight Cecil or the Alt Gauntlet. Which could still be in the basement.
Could totally still be in the basement. And Crystal Sword's making very short work of the Dark Dragon form and the Dark Elf there.
Dark Dragon very weak to the white element. Though, for some reason, when you cast the white spell against the Dark Dragon, it heals instead. Because
I actually just found that out. Yeah, that's so kooky.
No idea why. Probably like a consideration they didn't care about because you don't really have access to, you know, holy element damage when you fight Dark Elf, but it's not like because it's not like you're gonna cast Meteor against it.
Right. We figured it out though.
Yes, we did, or I did, in not a great way. And there's that darkness.
There it is. Yep.
Noobtree says I do not care. Okay, no. Thought Noobtree was about to walk away from that Odin Throne. Says no, hold on a moment.
It's
There's
an easy
one
one
more
to
boss down
forget.
here.
Yeah. You do want to have an eye on who's down here for sure.
But I think if this is not a boss we want, Noobtree is just going to reset. We have... I guess he doesn't know where the Luca key is? Don't remember where that was now. Top of tower?
Right. That was top of tower, yep.
Yeah. Okay, so for him, there's one key item still out there that gates a boss, but otherwise, like... Yes, this is Dark. Yeah, Dark Imps, not interested, gonna reset, and likely head to the moon.
And right, yeah, chat's pointing out that Noobtree only did cannon. Didn't clean out the tower. Didn't do his chores.
Okay, so Noobtree gonna do a little bit of his chores, gonna do Zod. I was gonna say, Noobtree finding exactly the right fades this seed and the right things to check. I'm gonna do Twin Harp as well. Okay, so we're gonna... Noobtree is gonna give Dunka back some of that time. Don't blame him. Want to be thorough. Do those chores. Make your life coach happy. Get through this.
It would feel very weird for me personally to just go straight to the moon when I had, you know, both Twin Harp and Earth Crystal kind of sitting there. So I really don't blame this play at all.
Yeah, I don't either. The reason I would be tempted is because I think the like conventional way of routing that is to just do Twin Harp into Zod into Dwarf, right? And so if I did, or into, I keep calling Baron Dwarf, it's into Baron, and if I did Baron first, I might feel like, well, I didn't do the other 2 checks, and I just need bosses. Maybe the boss I need is just on the moon, or one of them. So, I mean, I think it would be a pretty good... It would make me think about making that play, but it is very difficult to give up.
I just personally love the Zot check too for some reason, so like it's hard for me to say no.
Yeah. I mean, it's 2 bosses. It's time consuming. Between Twin Harp and Zod, I think it's going to cost like 5 minutes, which is a lot of time.
That's a lot of time. It's very It can be very consequential.
Yeah, but I think that if you're thinking about the bosses specifically, the odds I think are better on the moon, but meanwhile, we're going to get a reprise of that Octopath Traveler theme.
Oh yeah.
Thank you, Pinkros in chat, for letting us know that this Octopath Traveler theme was Cliftlands.
And while we were listening to music, bigdunka did not forget where that Ogo was and took care of it.
And yeah, Noobtree saw that that was just a siren, had this reset set up nicely, said no thanks, and gonna run up Sot now. I do agree with checking the key item after the boss, specifically because of the pass. Though it's a little awkward because if the boss is up on the moon, then you probably don't care about the pass, but it's still like nice to have. So I don't blame him for kind of going through the boss. It doesn't cost that much extra time.
Sure, that makes perfect sense. Pass, again, another item that can be pretty make or break, depending, so.
But meanwhile, we are headed to the moon. We'll see if Dunka's interested in this shop. I don't think we've seen sirens. I might not blame him if he wanted to check that. Otherwise, yeah, it's just over to Cave Value. It's time to find those bosses. Dunka is looking for two bosses to Noobtree's one. Has faded that package, which is very understandable fade. But package does have the Valvalis, so we need boss 7 and 8 to be up here on the moon for Dunka, because Dunka is on a clock right now.
It's pretty likely we will see 2 bosses up here, but not a guarantee, so.
Yeah, no, not at all a guarantee. We have seen a vast majority of the bosses in the game, just because of how the key items laid out. I actually don't know that we checked Luca.
We have not checked Luca.
Yeah, I don't think Dunka did. And then, okay, so that's Dark Knight Cecil. Oh, that's really bad.
Yeah, this is he's harsh here. He definitely packs a punch, so. Yeah, we're taking some gold dragons first before we deal with him.
Yeah, this is bad for 2 reasons for Dunka. One, yes, a very dangerous fight at the spot. 2, Noobtree is going to run to K value first, most likely, and be in go mode. Won't have to touch any of the LST except, just running down it to get through it. So that clock that I named that Dunka is on just became a lot tighter.
Yeah, that's very, very true.
The really only lingering question, I think, for both of these runners is going to be how they're going to get their grind, what they're going to choose to do, and how much time that's going to take.
Yeah, it's kind of one of my least favorite positions to find myself in when I'm racing is, oh my god, I'm in go mode, and then it's like, but what about my grind? What am I going to do? Sirens are not evident, so. I mean, I guess they still could be in the moon shop. We haven't checked that yet. So.
Yeah, they could be. You could also do these 2 sirens with the hourglasses that you have, and if you're good at nerfing big bangs, which with the Porum you kind of almost have to anyways, you've got a lot of power with that crystal sword. Honestly, could be enough, but really depends on the comfort of our runners. So We'll see.
Crystal Sword is a huge factor here in, hitting that final boss at a lower level.
Yeah, and the White Spear and Cane is not a slouch either. It will be a contributor.
That's true. Like, I was so dazzled by the Crystal Sword this whole time, I forgot Cane was the White Spear.
Yeah, I mean, the White Spear in comparison is like... Cecil's ultimate weapon versus Kane's ultimate weapon is like... I don't know, it's like comparing... like, I don't know, Gucci sandals and just like... I don't know, the flip-flops have got just hanging out, but... I mean, it's still like... in the fight, it's still going to do a little bit of extra damage. And then Palom could also contribute.
Right. The sandals still cover your feet, technically, so...
Yeah, and between like Gucci slides and like off-brand Crocs. Right. That's a good one.
There we go.
Yeah, DKC hurts a lot.
Hurts a lot.
And we're done. That's a very rough wipe. I don't think we saved.
Did Dunka do anything with the battle speed before that fight, or I didn't quite catch that?
That went so fast that I don't think that he did. Yeah. Even if he had, he needed... Gosh, I think you need Porum in 1 and to cast Cure 3 on Cecil immediately. I think that's the way through that fight. Yeah. Because I don't think they have Cure 3s. Oh, no, they have got an Elixir, actually. The Elixir was the way through.
Oh, okay. There we go.
Unfortunately, yeah, he hadn't saved. Yeah. Unfortunate.
Yeah.
Noobtree finding the sirens in the moon shop.
That's very interesting.
Yeah, ends up being a good check for him. We'll see how far he wants to take that grind. Really, it is to your comfort. You could go all the way to Nuke and White on the kids if you want. I think would be perfectly reasonable. Just to Cure 4 and Porum, also pretty reasonable. Depends also how many of those hourglasses he has, because you do have to do the gold dragons, which it's just not the greatest grind to take on. Great for experience, they're just annoying.
Yeah, and if you don't have, many hourglasses or any hourglasses, it can be a little tricky.
Yep.
It'll be interesting to see how much Noobtree grinds, because at this point, I would start to be feeling kind of a time crunch. You're pretty much going to assume your opponent has that Crystal Sword as well, so...
Yes. Yeah, for sure. For sure. But again, it's also, it's to your own comfort, right? Like, it really just sort of depends on... Because I think different runners have different inclinations towards what kind of, seeds they like to play and what kind of finishes they like to do. Some people really love their low-level Zerker strats. Some people really love their, 1200 hit point strats. Some people, just really, really love leaning on Power Overwhelming. Especially if you don't want to worry about nerfing Big Bangs, because Porum's hit point growth is pretty bad.
Right.
So, yeah.
I'm not allowing myself to do any more low-level strats with the Porum in my brain.
Oh, no. Wait, how come?
It never works out for me.
Oh, I'm sorry. Porum does end up being a magnet for all your troubles.
I know.
When you need to rely on her. Now, while it does look like Dunka and Noobtree are neck and neck here at the same spot, Noobtree, just to let anyone who's come in later know what's going on, that package was a very early key item that we found, and Noobtree chose to check it and found Val Valis there. And Dunka, very understandably, has not checked that Val's, so Dunka needs to deal with both DKC and another boss in the moon. And I think I guess Dunka's choosing to do DKC later. Is that what's happening here?
Yeah, looks like maybe.
Yeah, maybe not comfortable, not exactly sure how to get through that at the moment, figuring there's one more boss to take in the moon, potentially. It's a little tricky, though, because without the pass in hand, you could end up double dipping the moon pretty easily here, so I'm a little concerned for him, but we'll see how it plays out.
Right, and that's definitely just one of the things you kind of have to think about as a runner. Like, do I want to, beat my head against this brick wall that I know I'm not going to be able to manage and move on, or not move on, or do I want to move on and kind of hedge my bets and see what else is out there?
Yeah, and if you're not sure what to do and you don't want to butt your head up against things, I think it's very understandable and reasonable to just be like, you know what, I'm not gonna, I'll just go do other stuff. Now, the other stuff for Dunka that he's looking for is exactly the alt gauntlet, which will be a very massive grind for him. So maybe that's on his mind also.
Yeah, that is a very good point.
Though I guess he doesn't know where Val is, but for him it's a 50-50, right, between alt gauntlet and Val.
Yeah, and any gauntlet you find up here on the moon is definitely going to be a better part of a grind for you, at least.
Yes. The worst gauntlet, of course, would be the Masamune alt gauntlet. Yeah. At this point in the tournament, famous Masamune alt gauntlet. We've seen a number of them crop up. Yeah, not fun. Not fun. Gonna wish that gonna hope that one's not in this seed for Dunka's sake.
It's something about this tournament. It keeps popping up for me in practice too, and I feel like before this, I have seen it literally once, in my entire life.
Yeah, for me, it's like I've seen it a few times, but I've never done it because it's like, no, I'm not doing that.
I'm like, no.
That will be my dead last thing that I will do. No thanks.
And it's so rare. It's normally so rare you see that evil mask pop up and you're like, what even am I looking at? What is this?
Right? Yeah.
Oh.
When I was a kid playing vanilla, all of those enemies scared the crap out of me in the Lunar core. And so there's this quirk in Final Fantasy IV where against enemies that are level 99 or 98 specifically, or maybe 97, take longer to run away from. Like twice or 3 times as long. I learned this because I learned that as I learned how to run buffer, you cannot run buffer in many boss spots on the moon because they're technically like level 99, and you can't get the message up in time because there's just an arbitrary like extra running you have to do. Yeah, I guess they wanted to make it more dangerous for these encounters. But what it did to me as a kid was it made me think that I couldn't run away from them at all.
I see. Yeah.
So I fought every single behemoth, red dragon, double red dragon, evil mask, on my way down this Aromas. It was horrible.
Your tough love life coach is proud of you for doing that.
No, I don't want it. I was like 12. Stupid, sexy, tough life coach for the cunt.
Oh my lord.
No.
Oh, we willed it into being. It's here.
We spoke this into existence. Oh no.
Yeah, well, hilarious.
This is the ultimate feels bad too, because you had to run all the way to the bottom of the moon to find this alt gauntlet, and unless it has the pass, Dunka's gonna have to walk out, then exit, then do DKC, and then run all the way back down. It's
yeah, that's a little rough.
Yeah, if you're a fan of Dunka, it's not looking good for him, as Noobtree is getting his crystal.
Yeah, so Noobtree is heading on down and gets an Excalibur for his troubles.
Wow, that's Holy Sword number, 4 now, I think?
Throw it in the pile.
Yeah, because there was the one in Evelyn Castle, Noobtree found the Excal from the Staleman, then Zot had a crystal sword.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And there's no Bacchus wines. Chat's asking. I don't think we saw those in any shops, did we? Or we did, but were they not purchased? We did, yeah, they were at Dwarf, but did anyone buy them?
I thought Dunka bought a stack of 20 of them.
Okay.
But maybe it was Noobtree. It might have been Noobtree instead who did that. Yeah, without Bacchus, it's tricky. The Avenger glitch that we like to do in a gauntlet situation is not very good because you know, in one fight you glitch the Avenger into a crystal sword, but then subsequent fights you're just wearing an Avenger.
Yeah, interesting. I actually have wondered that before.
Yeah, so like so if Dunka had set that up here, he would be swinging an Avenger now, which would not be as ideal. Now, this gauntlet is a rite of passage. We'll see how knowledge Dunka is on these fights. I would be surprised if many runners are that knowledgeable about what these fights are. Since you and I were talking about how often we've done this gauntlet, it's like basically never. But we've got 2 evil masks. Ultimately, it's evil mask, it's behemoth, it's another evil mask. And then it's single red dragon, double red dragon. And all of those fights require very different ways to fight them. And the red dragons in particular are very nasty. The single red dragon can do heat ray, which does AoE damage that it's pretty devastating. Could easily one-shot a party that isn't prepared.
Sure, it's a rough chain of fights for sure.
Now, I mean, the crystal sword is obviously amazing, and these enemies are all basically weak to it. But, okay, yeah, there's the Bacchus for Dunka. So we're going to do that with Cecil this time. Yeah, so we've got the damage output. It's just about surviving, the red dragons in particular.
I don't know if I've ever beat the vanilla double red dragon lunar subterranean chest.
I've done it in K-Trap seeds, but I mean, it helps to have like Artemis arrows, which actually they have Artemis bow and arrows that could turn somebody into contributor. I mean, it would have to be what, Porm, who you don't really want to use for that, yeah. But yeah. But yeah, I mean, while we're talking about this, the Noobtree just says, yeah,
just we're doing it. Yeah,
I'm not doing that.
Yeah,
screw that. I got something better to do here. Rolling right on past.
Looks like we got some, flags going up in chat there.
Yeah, what's this about, Flossie? Why are they giving us the Z's? Are they bored of us?
I think. Aw.
No.
No. So we're going to find out what form Z's taken tonight.
Oh, there's that heat ray. It's so nasty.
The heat ray. But yeah, there's what, like almost 600 different Z sprites we could potentially see.
The last count I heard was over, yeah, like 570 plus. So yeah, like near 600 at this point. Yep. Well done by Dunka to get through the single. Now the double red dragons, by the way, they single punch and then double punch and repeat, and they punch very hard. Cecil's very well geared. Actually, everyone seems to be pretty well geared against this, but you know, it's still dangerous. But yeah. Meanwhile, over on Noobtree's side,
we're there.
We are there, and we get to ask whose butt are we kicking tonight.
Goromus.
I have never seen that. I know it. I recognize it from Mortal Kombat. It's just, huh.
This was actually my first ever Z sprite.
Oh wow!
So I've got a lot of nostalgia here. Probably took me like 15 minutes.
Goro's here to his various finishers. Tele takes a nap. But Noobtree is very well powered up here. Cecil's swinging like 5k a swing. Doesn't even bother. Oh, actually, no, never mind. Yeah, and then Kane's swinging. Actually, that might just be the Avenger. Or it's Avenger White Spear. Either way, I mean, the damage is coming out fast.
Everyone's just kind of like a support to Cecil at this point.
Right. And Vanilla Masamune from that gauntlet, very good on Dunka to get through that. Very unfortunate, because if Dunka had gotten through DKC that first time and then ran down, I think this would have actually been a very, very close race.
Yeah, I think so too.
Despite that package. So I hope when he comes back to this, and I don't know how he'll be feeling about the finish of this seed. But you know, that'll be one of the things that like I would look back at and be like, okay, I was there, like I was there, you know, maybe try to feel better about it. But
yeah,
and of course,
obviously
both
are, yeah, both like well played. It's just these, you know, these little decisions and these little moments, they add up.
They do. Now, of course, Zemus is never free. Orem is still not that healthy. And Noobtree is choosing to nerf this Big Bang, meaning that we're going to make him counter with the nuke spell. This sets the spell power down so that nuke isn't just an immediate one-shot. And then if we're good, with good timing, Zemus won't set that magic power script back up, and then cast a Big Bang at lower power. Now, Big Bang would have to come out now, and it does, yep, so this should be nerfed. If one more round of attacks had gone off, then Zemus would have instead... Actually, no, yeah, that was not nerfed. Orem, however, says, yeah, I'm good.
Yeah. Tough cookie.
Yeah, the timing on that is rough. Oh, and we have rocks now.
We're into rocks.
That's dangerous. Everyone goes down except Cecil. Just gotta carry it through. Now, this only has 12,000 hit points, and yeah, okay, we're good. We're done.
We're done. Okay. Nice. GG's to Noobtree87.
Well done, Noobtree, finishing with an official race spot time of 1 hour, 28 minutes, and 33 seconds. Yeah, that was close. That was probably the only chance that Dunka had. That last phase has 12,000 hit points, and if like it kind of goes a little bit wrong, Cecil could have taken one more meteor. But yeah, we got through.
Yeah,
we'll see if he's available for an interview. Oh, and I believe we're joined now by Noobtree. GG's, Noobtree.
GG's, Noobtree. So how did that feel?
If you are talking, we cannot hear you.
That would be because my headset was on mute, and I apologize.
Ah, yeah, no problem. Welcome.
Thank you. Flossie, it felt great. At the end, I was nervous. I felt a little scared. You could see that I did a few things, played a few safety strats against that Cecil, Dark Knight Cecil at value, but early on seeing that Val at package was a huge confidence boost moving forward.
Sure, that always feels really, really good to hit that check, because it's just so long and dicey most of the time.
Yeah, and I felt that it was early on enough that if I lost any time there, it would be pretty easy to recover if the seed was generous enough. And I also promised some friends I would do a cheeky check in this race, and that was my time to fulfill my promise. So.
Oh, and you fulfilled very well. Yeah, well done.
Thank you.
I want to run to the very end of the seed. How butt clenched were you at the end of that fight?
What Meteo? I didn't see any rocks. Right. No, my heart rate, I could feel my chest pounding as soon as I saw it come up. I'm like, no, please, somebody dodge. And then nobody dodged. I was like, well, this isn't great, but I think I've counted right. Next 2 hits should be good. And then when I heard the bang, I actually let out a squeal that I'm not going to try to repeat.
Yeah, we were kind of holding our breath there on that one.
Yeah, a little bit, yeah.
Hey, if it's not entertaining, it's not a race, I guess.
Right. So how do you feel about your routing? I felt like it was, very logical and tight.
It was it's something I've been watching a lot of different runners, Possum Morpheus, Pancraz, Martin Broadcloak, everyone that's been playing this for a while that's doing really well. I've been watching how they route. A lot of it is by the numbers, and I've been practicing cutting my time down on the overworld, on the underground, trying to go where I want to go first, and thinking a little bit ahead about if this check doesn't pan out, no pun intended, where do I go next? Do I had tower key, do I hit tower first? Yes, that's always what I'm going to do. Antlines at top, I'm going to avoid it. If it's pan, do I check pan? Probably go to Dwarf Castle and check there. At that point, I had 4 bosses. I knew where the 5th one was, and I was just looking for the rest. And Dwarf ended up being a good check for Luge being there.
Sure, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, your practice is really shown. I mean, you're fairly new to the community, right? I believe this is your first tournament.
Yes, I
Here, I
started
mean?
off with a Pink Puff League this
Okay,
year,
yeah.
and I had a bit of downtime towards the end of the Pink Puff League. I didn't get to finish it, so I just started practicing and watching videos, and I was like, well, maybe I can do something in this upcoming tournament. Let's see how I fare against everyone. And honestly, I've surprised myself, and the community has surprised me with their generosity and their mentorship. So I'm very thankful that everyone's so kind.
I love that. Yeah. Shout out to our community. That's a lot of great folks here. A lot of very helpful people. I felt similar when I had joined a year and a half ago now or so. And yeah, this is definitely one of those games that's like easy to learn, tough to master, and when you put the work in, you get rewarded. And sir, you have been rewarded. Well done.
Thank you so much.
Yeah, it's been wonderful to watch your progress for sure.
That I appreciate it. It isn't just me. I know I put in a lot of practice, but there's a lot of people who watch me and say, "Hey, try this out. Look at this strat. Try out these weird wonky ones that you may never see, like Canderstruck." And everyone's pushing me to be better, and I appreciate it.
Yeah, absolutely. I remember when I was first, I had turned on my stream as a newbie, and nobody was watching me, and somebody stepped in and just taught me how to do the door grind in Luca, which we never see. Because I happened to be there, and then taught me how to do reflex strats at Zemus in that same seed. That was just extraordinarily helpful.
It's
so yeah.
I have similar stories. It's a great community. I learn everything I need to know from chat. So.
But yeah, I mean, otherwise, I mean, I don't think there's much else I have to ask about the seed. I mean, crystal swords and Excaliburs were everywhere, of course, but
gotta go
Evelyn had
Burr.
it, so I'm pretty sure you knew. Yeah, gotta go Burr.
And if you're gonna get so much stuff you can't use, like for Edge, you might as well get stuff you can use. It was a pretty generous seed as far as loot.
Yeah, thank you, Harum, for rolling a seed that didn't require heart, but was very friendly overall.
Yeah, and thank you for putting on a great race. And I don't know, any last words for us before we let you go, or any last questions from you, Flossie?
No, I think I'm good. It just makes me want to practice more.
Well, if I may, I just want to say, Solaris, Flossie, thank you so much for commentating. I'm sure you did wonderful. Can't wait to watch the VOD and hear the feedback. Once again, Harumph, thanks for the seed, not being too spicy. Zalde, thank you for not eating the buttons and keeping people who do eat the buttons away. And for this whole community, thank you so much again for letting me be a part of this. And RPG Limit Break, thanks for letting us restream here.
Yeah, of course.
Thank you,
and
yeah, GG's.
Yep, GG's and thanks.
GG's, Big Dunka. Thank you so much.
All right, bye now. And yep, that was Big Dunka's finish, and I believe he's also going to be ready for an interview as well. And yep, we're joined by Dunka now. GG's Dunka.
GG's Dunka.
So, I don't know, how you feeling after that race?
It's okay. I mean, I made a bunch of little mistakes that we added up at the end, other than having to redo the mini siren farm. A whole bunch of little ones, and they add up to a couple minutes minimum. So it was fine. It was fine. I'm okay. I'm not really saying sleep over.
Yeah. It's pretty much, it's kind of how what we were saying too. The little things end up adding up, and I don't blame you for bouncing off of DKC and being like, I don't really want to deal with this at the moment. Let me take some time to think about it, or go find something else. It just sort of the routing ended up being pretty unfavorable for that. But I think overall, the race was run very clean, made very good logical choices that made sense. I imagine you talked with Noobtree in the race chat and kind of find out what that package had, right?
Yeah, that was the other. That would have saved some time. Obviously, not having to do one or the other of the last two. I don't think it's I rarely would make that check before going to the moon.
Yeah.
In that scenario, but it's also not a huge time sink, but with what more or less half the hats on the moon being options than, or being over half of them. What am I trying to say? The odds were good that the moon had bosses.
Yeah, exactly.
Right. Yeah. There's absolutely nothing wrong with that choice. It is, definitely the logical choice.
Yeah. So, I mean, it's fine. The scene was actually, in reality, pretty easy. There wasn't a whole lot there. The Dark Crystal was pretty buried, so it's not like you're going to get it early and get a chance to really pull ahead. So you're pretty much forced to go check most of the stuff.
Right.
Yeah, this is one of those rare seeds where like you actually got everything practically. Like you're missing a spoon.
Oh yeah, we didn't see the spoon or the pass.
Yeah,
but,
I wasn't even. I wasn't paying attention to credit, so I had no idea where it was. I mean, there's not many spots left, so I mean the Raven spot's got 2. I guess one of them's there.
Yep. But yeah, I mean, otherwise, I think the only other question I have is just kind of how are you feeling about the tournament overall, the flags, your experience? How did that go for you?
Yeah, it's fine. I my hats off to everybody that put together this this event, especially with the flags. I really dig the flags. 90% of the time, they're great. The other 10% is just you got 3 spots left and 2 of them were guns. That happens. But as a whole, it was fine. I enjoyed it. It was very well run, and it is what it is. It's unfortunately my tournament has ended.
Well, you played wonderfully.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah, it definitely played wonderfully for sure. I mean, yeah. Aside from this, I don't know any plans for your. I don't know what other tournaments you might be in. Other stuff you're playing, but any plans for your off season?
Yeah, I need to take some time to get. I'm LTTPR at SGL's coming up in a few weeks, and I haven't touched it once. So
that's exciting.
I need to de-rust for that because that'll be